Hi people, it's me Anja, welcome back to my channel and welcome to a new recent release video. I haven't filmed a recent release video in almost 3 weeks now because honestly my reading month of February didn't really end the way that I wanted it to in both quality and quantity, and same for the start of March, so here we are. And also I'm visiting home right now for the weekend, so that's why I'm here. Anyway, the first book on this list is called The Polar Bear Explorers Club, written by Alex Bell. This story is middle grade fantasy and I really enjoyed it, and I ended up giving it 4 stars. It follows Stella, who really wants to be part of the Polar Bear Explorers Club, except that she's not allowed to because she's a girl. This book was absolutely so good. The world building of this story hooked me in immediately because it was so imaginative and so descriptive. Stella as a character is well developed and felt three-dimensional. I really enjoyed the group dynamic in this story. It felt so awesome and so cool and so wholesome. I love friend groups, and I especially love that each friend in the friend group was a well-developed, distinct character on their own. You know what I mean? This book was so good, and the story is so underrated and for what, and I'm so excited to continue reading the rest of this series. So like I said, I rated this story 4 stars, and with that I highly recommend it. The next book on this list is called Cogheart. This story is also middle grade fantasy, and I also rated it 4 stars because I really enjoyed it. It follows Lily, whose life is in mortal peril because her father is missing and people are chasing her for reasons unbeknownst to her. This story was well done. I really enjoyed the world building because, like the Polar Bear Explorers Club, the world building hooked me in immediately. I really enjoyed all the mechanical elements to this story. It felt very like steampunky, if you know what I mean. This story was well done, and I really enjoyed Lily as a character. She felt very well developed and three-dimensional and very realistic, and I really enjoyed all of the different elements in this story. Like I mentioned, the world building was well done, the plot was very intriguing, and I was very interested in this story every step of the way, which is very nice. You know what I mean? Sometimes when I'm reading a story, I'm more interested in the beginning or the end or the middle or something like that. But with this book, I was interested in every single page and every single step of the way. So essentially, I did really enjoy my time reading the story. And like I said, I gave it 4 stars because it was really good. And with that, I highly recommend it. The next book on this list is called I Think I Love You. This story is YA contemporary, and it follows 2 girls who have rivaling ideas for their film because they're both entering a film festival alongside some of their friends. This story was solid. I really enjoyed the concept of this story. I really liked it when 2 people from opposite backgrounds or something like that come together because they have a common ground. And honestly, the concept of this story ended up being better than the actual execution. You know what I mean? I thought that I was going to read a nice, solid, fluffy YA sapphic contemporary, and what I got instead was a nice, solid, fluffy book with 2 well-developed characters and nice sexuality representation, which I did really enjoy. One of the characters is a lesbian and the other one is bisexual, so we love to see it. But my least favorite part of this story, and why I'm rating the story 3 stars instead of anything higher, is that I really didn't like how their romance was developed and was established. You know what I mean? The chemistry between the 2 girls felt very forced, and I just didn't see it. I didn't ship it at all. So yeah, I don't regret reading this book by any means because I do enjoy them as well-developed individual characters by themselves. I just wasn't sold on the romance at all. So yeah, there's that. I ended up rating this book 3 stars, like I said, so I don't highly recommend it, but I do still recommend it because the story itself and the concept was solid, and I would definitely consider giving this author a second chance, but not a third chance by any means. So yeah, there you have it. The next book on this list is called Explorers on Witch Mountain. If you didn't know, this is a sequel to the Polar Bear Explorers Club, and it's the 2nd book in this series. This book was also really good. I ended up rating it 4 stars because I really enjoyed it. It was really well done. Alex Bell is really good at crafting the world because the world building in the story was so good. It hooked me in just like she did with the first book. The characters were well developed. I really enjoyed Stella's character development because it was done so well. I wish that the other side characters in this book will develop just as much as they will in the first book, and that's the main reason why, honestly, I prefer the first book to this one. But overall, this book was quite solid. It was a very nice, solid sequel because the plot was very intriguing. Like I said, the world building and the new characters introduced were very well done, and I'm honestly really excited to read the third one. But I will say, like I said, I prefer the first book in the series so far, so I was more excited to read this one than I am for the third one. You know, so essentially, I rated this book 4 stars and I really enjoyed it. So with that, I would highly recommend it. The next book on this list is called City of Spells, written by Alexandra Christo. For those who don't know, this is the sequel to Into the Crooked Place, which I read at the very beginning of 2020, pre-pandemic, and it was very, very good. So this was a sequel that I was eagerly anticipating. This book was quite solid and definitely lived up to my expectations because I ended up rating it 4 stars, which is the same rating that I gave Into the Crooked Place. So essentially, I enjoyed this book just as much as its prequel, and it was very, very good. This duology is very underrated, and for what? It's YA fantasy, and it's so good. The world building hooked me in immediately. I really enjoyed how all of the different character perspectives were so distinct and so wonderful and just so well developed. I really enjoyed the relationships between all of the characters, whether it be platonic relationships or romantic relationships. You know what I mean? This book is so good. I just really, really enjoyed it, and this author is so underrated with these books. I know that she's more well known for To Kill a Kingdom, but honestly, I will say that these books are better than To Kill a Kingdom, and this duology, like I said, is so underrated. And for what, I really, really enjoyed it. I really liked how each of the characters got the closure that they deserved. You know what I mean? Like, this story was so good, and I think that she really concluded it really, really well. You know what I mean? Essentially, like I said, I rated this book 4 stars, and I really enjoyed it. So with that, I highly recommend this story. I highly recommend this duology because it's so underrated and so underhyped, and for what? Because it definitely deserves way more hype than it has received. So yeah. The last book on this list is called Can't Take That Away. This story is a YA contemporary story, and it follows a young genderqueer teenager who finds the courage to stand up and speak out for equality when they are discriminated against by their high school administration. The story was well done, and it was really, really good. This book definitely deserves all of its hype and so much more. I really, really enjoyed the main characters' characterization and the representation shown through them. I don't think I've ever read a book before about a genderqueer character, but at any rate, this story was well done. It was done so well. It was so insightful and just so wonderful, and it was so emotionally touching, you know what I mean? All of the characters felt so realistic and 3-dimensional and well developed. The romance was so cute. It was so wonderful and so lovely. They had so much chemistry, and it was done so well. It was so well developed, and I kept rooting for them every single step of the way. You know what I mean? This story just felt so well rounded, and I just really, really enjoyed it. And the only thing about this story that's preventing me from rating it 5 stars is that some things that happened towards the end felt a little bit too coincidental, but overall this story was so good. It was absolutely so good. Like I said, I really enjoyed the representation in this story. We love to see it, but even aside from that, this story felt so nice and so wholesome, and I just really, really enjoyed it because it was so emotionally touching. You know what I mean? I don't know specifically if this story is own voices, but anyway, this story was so good, and it definitely deserves all of its hype and so much more because it's so good. It was also so much better than I was expecting as well. So yeah, anyway, we love to see it. Like I said, I rated this book 4 stars, and I highly recommend it. So in conclusion, the book that I enjoyed the least was definitely I Think I Love You, because by default that's the only one I rated 3 stars, and I rated the rest of these books 4 stars. So yeah, the 2 books that I enjoyed the most on this list will definitely Can't Take That Away in the Polar Bear Explorers Club. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please don't hesitate to give it a big thumbs up. Comment down below the orange emoji if you made it all the way to the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you're new, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!